everybody, I'm Alyce-Kay from Threshold of Hineni and the Widow Reckelhaus, and I have a special guest with me today. Mom, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Lyn Hanush. I'm Alyce-Kay's mom.
Yeah. Hey, you didn't say what you said about me last time.
I have a wonderful daughter who I'm very proud of, and there's so much I could say about her.
Talk about fishing for compliments, right? Okay. So we're here to talk about Mom today. So now that we've gotten it out of the way how wonderful I am, now we're going to talk about Mom. We're going to talk about, we've been talking about prayer walking. We talked about that in our last video, and today I wanted to, that video was more about like prayer walking for normal people. My mom is not normal. Okay, so you need to understand that. And so we're going to talk about some of her not normal prayer walking, and she calls this West Coast 1 and 2, part 1s and part 2. Part 1 and part 2. I can't talk. So, Mom, first of all, like just a very, very short, like 2 or 3 sentence description. What is prayer walking, in case they didn't see the last video?
Okay, prayer walking is being able to walk someplace and look at things as you walk and pray for those things, meet people, pray for them. And there's various ways you can do that. And we'll talk about some of that.
Yeah, very good. And I will have a link at the end of this video to the previous video where we talked about prayer walking, and we talked about how normal people can do this. You don't have to like leave your home for over a year like my mom did and have your husband say that you walked out on that's what Dad used to tell everybody. My wife walked out on me. And they're like, what? She was actually, he loved to say that.
Pregnant pause. Then.
Yes. Before he'd explain what she was actually doing, and that he was very supportive of it. But anyway, and then we also have something free for you at the end of this video, so stay till the end, and you can hear about how you can get that. Okay, so Mom, so tell us what the first and second parts of the West Coast walk were, just briefly, and then we'll go back to details.
Okay. The first walk was up the length of California, which is 1,050 miles. And we went up the coast of it and prayed for California specifically. The second part was Oregon and Washington, basically doing the same thing.
Okay. Yeah.
And while the first one didn't start out as an actual prayer walk, the way the rest of them have, it became that in many ways.
Right. And it actually was done kind of for a ministry too.
Yes,
so let's go ahead and talk about that. What was the ministry that you were thinking of as you started the California prayer walk, or the California Walk for Relief, I think we called it?
Yes, it was. And we called it that because this was a time when a lot of people from Vietnam and Cambodia and Laos and many of those places were coming into our country. And they were being sponsored, but different groups and organizations such as the Rescue Mission in San Jose was sponsoring a lot of them. MCC, which is Mennonite Central Community Committee, was sponsoring a lot, and World Vision. And those were 3 organizations we kind of helped from this walk. So we collected money for them.
And a lot of people were coming on boats. I mean, some of these people were coming all the way across the Pacific Ocean in small boats, and arriving in California, fleeing from what was going down in the Southeast.
They needed people to support them. And so these organizations were doing a lot of that and helping them get settled in place. And so that was our goal there. And then to pray for them became a natural thing, and to meet people along the way and pray for them too kind of became a natural outpouring of it.
Right. And so we had some people who, and I say we because I got to go along on this. I walked a little part of it, and then I took over for my dad when he left, and I drove the support vehicle. But we had people sponsor us per mile. The guy who was walking with us, he needed to lose weight, and so he was sponsored per pound that he lost, which was really cool. And at the very, very end, when we got to the California-Oregon border, we had a picture, I think it was in the newspaper, wasn't it, of him standing on a scale with two construction workers looking on to certify his weight.
Right, right.
So that was very creative. But we also had people who were just, just outright giving money or giving help for it, like shoes and sweatshirts and stuff like that. So where did that start? Where
It
did we
started
start
at Tijuana and California San Isidro area border.
We actually started at the border, right? We walked into Tijuana.
Yeah, we walked into Tijuana and then turned around and walked back out.
That was when it was easier to get back into the US.
Yeah.
We didn't have to have a passport. We didn't even have to have a driver's license or anything. You could just walk back and forth. Yeah. So that was not a big deal. And so what did we do for shelter and stuff? Where did we stay?
Okay, for the first part of it, I believe it was 2-3 weeks, something like that. We stayed in homes, in private homes, and Mennonite Central Committee had helped us find some of those homes. I don't remember if there were any groups. I think that was the main group that helped us find homes along the way, or the Mennonite churches.
And we stayed with some people that we knew, like the Sudermans, some missionary friends of ours.
Exactly.
So it was really neat being able to see those people.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That was a good experience, and staying in homes, then some homes of people we had never met before.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. In fact, we stayed in the town that you guys ended up living in later.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That was really cool.
That was really cool because we had no idea we were going to live there at some point. And we stayed with wonderful people there who were just such an encouragement and a help.
In fact, you did 2 prayer walks through Paso Robles, not knowing you were going to live there someday.
That's true. Yeah. Yes.
Because in 1995, was it 1995?
Yeah, 1995.
Yeah. And we can talk about that in a different video. And there's actually a video already about it, but we can talk about our experiences with that. But on the California Walk for Relief, so then after those first 2 or 3 weeks, then where did we stay?
Then we had a small motorhome brought to us. This was not like the motorhomes that we've had since. This one had bare bones equipment. It had no refrigerator. I think we had an ice box. It had no bathroom. It had a curtained off room, and we had a porta potty that we put in there.
We had to take showers elsewhere.
Yes, always had to take showers elsewhere.
One bed was up above the cab. I think it's what people would call now a camper, not a motorhome, but we called it a motorhome back then.
Yeah. Some friends of friends were loaning it to us, and we paid $10 a week, I think, for it, something like that, which in those days was a fair amount, but not bad at all. It was very reasonable. So that really helped. And it was good to have that because then we had a place to stay. We didn't have to worry about finding places.
Right. Oh, yeah. Speaking of back then, when was this?
That was in
1983.
1983, yeah. Boy,
it was right after I graduated from college. So you guys, this was like the ideal summer for me. I was so exhausted from my senior year, and I walked with them for the first 250 miles, and then I got to drive the motorhome after that. So it was like 30 miles a day. And then I shopped and did laundry, but it was a lot of time that I could just like try to get my sanity back. Oh, can I tell about something from before we went?
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
So I would tell people at my college at Westmont, if you've read my books and you know about Westmont, I would tell them what I was going to do, that I was going to go on this walk with my mom and another guy. And people would ask why we were walking from south to north, because wouldn't it be easier to walk from north to south? This was college people. I was just like amazed. Yeah, because you're like walking down. It was just so funny. And our thought in doing it that direction was it gets hotter in Southern California than in Northern California during the summer. So we figured, let's get that over with first in May. Let's get that part over. And then as we get to the hotter months, we'll be up in the redwoods and everything where it wasn't going to be so hot. And I think that was a really good idea. I think that worked out
It
really
really
well.
was.
Yeah. And we went from city walking to walking out in rural areas and along the coast.
Yeah, that was beautiful. It
It
was a
was,
beautiful walk.
yeah, it was a really beautiful walk. So what was the route?
It was the California Coast California Bicentennial Coast Bicycle Route.
Yeah, it was a bicycle route. You
Perfect.
guys did have to walk some on the freeway, I think a little bit, right?
Yes, we did.
Did we
Just
get
a
permission for that or something? I think we did, right?
we were sitting in the motorhome off to the side on a side road trying to figure out what we were going to do because we couldn't find any roads right there.
Mm-hmm.
And a policeman came along that side road and he stopped to see if we needed help or anything. And so we posed our question to him, and he was a highway patrolman. And he said, well, you can walk along the freeway as long as you're facing traffic. And I'm the one that patrols that section and I won't see you. He basically gave us permission to walk it.
So is that okay that you're saying here? Because now maybe you're going to have a California highway patrolman ride out to New Mexico and knock on your door and arrest you.
I think I'm okay.
You think you're okay? Okay.
I think so, yeah.
So that was back in 1983. I think that was the only place you had to walk on the freeway though, right?
Right. It was. Up further north, I think there were a few places, but it was allowed there.
Right. Yeah. I think it was highway rather than freeway. But there were some scary places up north where there were the big logging trucks. Oh my word.
Or there was the scary area going between Pacifica and San Francisco, Daly City, I think it was.
Yeah.
And we were on a curvy road going up over the hill, and a car.
No way people could see you ahead of time.
Right. Mm-mm.
Yeah.
No, a car with a trailer came around the curve, and the trailer swung out just as it got close to us. And we looked down, there was a railing there, but there was nothing on the other side of that railing.
Cliff, yeah.
Down, the ocean was down way below.
Yeah, and it would be rocky. It's not like you want to dive into it there. A lot of this route was along cliffs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's just how California is. You know, some of the places like where Westmont is, it's up in the foothills, and it's like a 3-mile bike ride down from Westmont right to the beach. I mean, it goes from hills to beach. That's it. Right. And it's the same thing. A lot of the California coast is like cliffs and stuff. And you see cattle grazing, you know, California's happy cows. And what do you see grazing with the cows?
Horses.
Zebras.
Oh, zebras. Oh, we're talking about now. Zebras, actually.
She is very unusual, but she can't read minds.
Yeah.
So the zebras, yeah.
Yeah, and we always look for them there. Anytime I drive or walk through that area, I look for those zebras because they're often out there at the West Ranch.
Yeah, so it's really, really cool. So of those first 2 weeks walking through like the more heavily populated areas, is there anything that you want to tell about that or that you can remember? I'm trying to even remember stuff about that.
We had churches that we visited. Specifically invited us, and even after we had the motorhome, there were a few places where people wanted to house us, and so we did. We stayed with them,
and that was always really nice.
It really was. We had some beautiful places to stay in. Churches were just so nice to us, and it was really neat. So met some wonderful people, and I remember seeing people along the way that we didn't know, and they would come out and say, well, what are you guys doing? And we're saying, we're walking up the coast of California from Mexico to Oregon. Mm-hmm. And I remember one guy just looking at us going, what? Couldn't believe it. So but we explained to him and he says, oh, that's really cool. So, and our, you know, people sometimes donated a little money to go towards the cause that we were raising money for. So that really was nice too.
Yeah, that was really cool. I'll ask a question that everybody always asks you. How many pairs of shoes did you go through?
On that walk, I think I had about 4 pair that I kind of alternated between. I'm not sure, 3 or 4 pair probably.
And those were donated to us too by Adidas, right?
Yes, that's correct. They were.
The lava something or other. I can't remember.
Yeah, you're right. I'd forgotten that too.
They were, I can't remember what the exact name, but it was something lava. And they were very good shoes. That was really nice. They also gave us sweatshirts that said Adidas on them.
Adidas gave us sweatshirts and yes, so different groups gave us different
things. And so we didn't have cell phones back then. So how did we communicate with our driver, or how did you communicate with me when I was driving?
Yeah, I think you just came out and found us and
we had CB radios, Mom.
Oh, we did. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So my dad, he was our driver for the first 2 weeks, and he was a CPA, so he called himself Zacchaeus. That was his handle on the CB. And Mom was Hot Fudge. I don't really even remember what mine was.
Yeah, I'm not sure either.
That's funny.
Yeah, I remember Hot Fudge was mine. Yeah.
But yeah, so we had CBs. I think we had 3 of them. And so the driver had one, and then whoever was walking, you know, at first there were 3 of us. And then when I took over driving, there were 2. And so they had, in case they, you know, Mom sometimes would walk faster than Michael did and stuff. And so they would have CBs so that they could keep in touch with each other. Oh, also on the first 2 weeks, I started teaching you guys Greek, because that was part of my major was Greek. So I taught them Greek as we were walking. Probably more than I remember now.
And I don't remember any of what I learned.
Yeah.
It was fun learning it then.
Yeah. So what about the second part? Let's say like from there to Paso Robles, I think it's probably like another border area. What do you remember about that? What was really special?
I remember some beautiful areas. I remember going up over one mountain just before we got to Arroyo Grande and that area of California. And there was this mountain, you get up to the top and such an incredible view. And the song, How Great Thou Art, came into my mind, the second verse, which talks about from lofty mountain grandeur and the view that you see there. It was just beautiful. So I've always had a special place in my heart for that song. Because
is that where that started, that being your song kind of?
Oh,
cool. Okay, I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
It's neat. That's kind of, that's my mom's song, and it's also kind of become our family song too. In a lot of ways. Yeah, Dad sang it for his own funeral.
Yeah. Both services.
Yeah.
We had recordings of it and he sang that. So we, you know, everybody loved that. And yes, that was, it was good.
Yeah, that's cool. I remember Punta Gorda, all these little tiny towns that we walked through that were just really neat. Really small towns and friendly, sometimes hard to find things that we needed along that part of, like the Big Sur part, I think is that before or after Paso Robles?
That is after. It's
okay. It was sometimes really hard. You know, they were walking and I was driving, you know, and I'd do whatever errands and grocery shopping and stuff. And it was hard, some of those places, to find food. And like Mom said, we didn't have a refrigerator. So pretty much every 2 or 3 days we had to get food. And so some of those areas, it was kind of hard. I remember I used to teach Chinese students English up until less than a year ago. And one of they have a lesson about California, and they're talking about all the isolated villages. And it's like, okay, yeah, I guess I can see that, because there are these really small villages. I don't remember, did we run into any mudslides on that walk? I know we did on the other California walk.
We did on that one. We could not walk through the
Dana
Big
Point
area.
Okay, was it Dana Point?
No, that was on the other one.
Okay.
This one, it was the Big Sur area. There had been a big mudslide, and we had to go around a portion. We walked right up to it, then we drove around and walked from that point. And so that was quite a different thing.
Right. And so I'm going to write down a note so I don't forget to ask about something here. So then from like Paso Robles on, well, tell about our time in Paso Robles. I think that was really cool. That was kind of a high point of the walk.
It was. We were kind of going through some things at that point too. I had shin splints really bad.
Oh yeah.
At that point, and so we, let's see, I think we stayed in two different homes. Dad and I were in one home, and you were in the other home.
Mm-hmm.
In the home we were staying in, they had a guest pastor there, who was
they had exchanged, right?
They had exchanged with a church in Texas.
And this was a Mennonite church. We were Mennonite brethren. So yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Right. And so they had exchanged pastors. So the guest pastor there was from Kansas. And he had brought a fellow with him who was he was the trainer for, I think it was a cross country team.
Uh-huh.
Something like that, where they did running anyway.
Yeah.
So, and he worked with them. And Dave had come from San Jose to stay with us for the weekend. So he was there, and he was concerned about my shin splints. And should I continue walking, or should I give up the walk? Well, thankfully, this trainer was there, and he said, no, don't give it up. Here's what you need to do. Wrap it. And he showed me how to wrap it and put ice on it at every break. Well, we didn't have ice, but we were able to, in the ice box, because we used dry ice, we had cans of soda.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would use the cold cans, to put on my shin splints at every break. And that was great.
Yeah.
So
wasn't
it a really neat thing?
Wasn't it cool that there was just that coincidence that there was somebody there who could help you?
Exactly. That coincidence that we call God
incidents, right? God works that out. I think also Michael had a problem at one point too, and we just happened to stay in a doctor's house.
Yep.
And so the doctor was able to examine him and help him with that also. So, God, he just provided different things for us as we needed them. It was really cool.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a faith growing experience for us also.
It really was.
Yeah. And for me, just driving a motorhome on those curvy roads. And I mean, when I was 16, I didn't even want to get my driver's license. I was scared of driving. When I took the driving classes, the teacher, there's two girls in the back seat, I'm driving, and then there's the teacher, and he's got his own brake, and I could not put my foot on the brake. I was scared too, because I thought I'd send us all through the window. And so he made me drive straight for a fence, and I still wouldn't put my foot on the brake. And so he's stomping on the brake, and the girls behind me are holding hands because they know they're going to die. And so, so just imagine that. And then here I am driving a motorhome on these really curvy roads with cliffs. Yes. It was definitely a faith building experience.
More ways than one.
Yeah. Oh my word. That was so scary, but it was really good. So then, and they had a picnic there when we were in Paso Robles. The church had a big picnic and stuff that we got to go to. It was just really neat because we kind of, at least I know for me, I felt like they really welcomed us into their church as part of their church and stuff. It was just really cool. And I just think that it's so interesting that you guys ended up moving there like 20 years later, or no, I guess 15 years later. Huh?
Yeah. It was something like 15 years later. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think too, when we first got there, Dave was going to meet us there. And so we met at the town square.
Oh yeah.
We parked there and met
with
there.
That little tiny hole in the wall restaurant thing. I don't remember. It was a Mexican thing, I think.
I think so. But it was so interesting because now that's all so familiar to me because I lived there for 20 years after we moved there.
Yeah, that's so cool.
It's just memories like that are really special.
That's really neat. So then what about north of Paso Robles? What were some special things from that?
We had some beautiful areas to walk through. I will never forget Jenner by the Sea. And then going
Yeah.
out of Jenner over a large mountain and, with switchbacks a little bit and climbing up, and the views. Oh my goodness, looking out over the ocean was incredible there. And it was
Jenner
just,
is where the Russian River empties out into the ocean.
mhm,
Just gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. And
lots
Patrick's
of
Point.
seals down there.
And what?
Lots of seals down
Oh
there on
yeah, lots of seals. Yeah. And Patrick's Point, foggy
Foggy.
and forested with redwoods.
Yeah.
Just again, just spectacularly beautiful. And then we also stayed Jedediah Smith National Forest,
Yes, that's right.
which is where they filmed one of the Star Wars movies.
Yeah.
That it was supposed to be on another planet. It was the part with the Ewoks and stuff flying through this forest. Anyway, that was there. So that was kind of fun. Yeah.
And of course, up in Crescent City, which is still quite a bit north, that's the one of the furthest north areas. And there they had filmed, what was the name of that? Oh,
I don't
I
remember.
had the name in my mind a minute ago.
Oh dear.
But the guy on the bicycle who,
Oh,
oh,
E.T.?
E.T. Yes, they filmed a lot of that
I
in that
forgot about that.
area. And
Yeah,
forest area it was used for that. So that was
right.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, so there's just like a lot of stuff like that. And we did do some praying. This wasn't really set out to be a prayer walk, but it started developing that, right?
Exactly. It just really became more and more that way. I have to tell about one other fun experience that we had on
Okay.
that. And there was one day when Michael and I were walking along, and we looked down and saw a note on the ground, and we picked it up. And I forget how it was addressed, but we knew it was for us. So picked it up and read, and there was a message that we were invited to a dinner that evening. And as we walked on, there would be more notes. I don't remember how many notes there were, but each one of them gave us a little clue. And then when we got to where the motorhome was and where Alyce-Kay was with it, and she had a friend that was riding with her at that time for a week or two, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And so the two of them had kind of prepared this nice steak dinner, was it?
Yes, it was steak. Yeah.
Yeah, a very nice steak dinner.
On
And
this
they
dumb
rented
little stove in the motorhome.
amazing that they could do it. And I think it was really good, if I remember right.
Yeah, I think it was.
So,
And we
but they,
dressed up for it. I don't know if we made you guys dress up or not.
yes, you did. You met us at
Okay.
the door. You met
Oh yeah,
Michael
with clothes to go change into.
and stuff, and me with a dress that I had to
Yes.
change into. And so we changed.
Candlelight dinner.
Yes, it was very nice, and it was a lot of fun, and it meant a lot to us. And this is the kind of thing our wonderful driver did. She had a good imagination. She could come up with all sorts of ideas. So
That was fun. I forgot about that. That was really fun. Okay, so we were going to talk about the Oregon, Washington part of this walk, but I think we've talked long enough. So we're going to save that for another video.
good idea.
Okay, so I did promise you guys something free at the end of this video. So Mom, you have yours and I have mine, and they can probably see yours better. Okay, so this is the book that my mom wrote about her cross-country walk from Washington State to Florida. And it's really it's paperback, but it's like a coffee table book. It has a lot of colored pictures in it, as well as drawings and the story of that whole walk. And just really, really well written. And oh, Mom's going to show you some pictures. So there's, yeah, like colored pictures, because you're going to read about, it's called Putting a Face on America. So it's about the people that they met, as well as the experience of walking across that. And she's showing you herself and Joni and Sam. Joni was their driver for this. And Samantha is my daughter, my mom's granddaughter, who she was 16 at the time, and she went along on most of that walk. So, and they all had their dogs. And so anyway, yeah, so that book is free if you would like that. And it's, what is it, rated like R or something, Mom, right?
I think it's rated G.
Yeah, it's rated G. So this is family
rated
material,
G.
you guys. It's really
Yep.
interesting for you to read yourself as an adult, but you can also read this as a family or give it to your kids to read. And so it's really fun. So you can have the book for free. All that Mom's asking is that you pay for the postage, which is $8.95 if you live in the US. If you're international, then you'll have to contact us so we can figure that out. But the way that you can contact us about getting that book is through the Facebook link below. And then you can talk to me about that. And also, if you want to, this is not required, but if you would like to make an extra donation, Mom, what would that go to?
That would go to Him First Ministries. And that's to support the walks that we do across America, the prayer walking.
Okay. And so who's going to do that walking, Mom?
I will, and I'm not sure who else, but I've had people approach me about continuing the journey. So I've pretty much decided we're going to start again next year with portions of it, doing it in small portions, like a month or two at a time.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So you have bragging rights on this, Mom. How old are you?
I'm 80 years old.
Okay. And she's still prayer walking these long walks, you guys.
Just doing it a little bit slower now, but I'm still doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's really cool. Okay. So we're going to talk about the Oregon, Washington walk in another video. And then also coming up would be, this may take a couple videos to talk about the walk across the US from the northwestern corner of Washington. I think you started out in Canada, right? And walked across the border.
Yeah, we went just through the border and came back.
Yeah, came back down, and then all the way down to Key West, Florida. So the longest possible way to walk across the US is what they did. And so we'll talk about that in another video. And then she also walked up the East Coast. We'll talk about that in another video. And then she's walked part of coming back from the northeast corner down to the southwest corner. And that's what she still wants to finish, is so that she can walk through every one of the states that she hasn't already prayer walked in. So, so you have that to look forward to hearing about. All right. So Mom, did you want to say anything more before we close?
No, I think that's it. I think we've covered it pretty well.
Okay. All right. So we love y'all. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay.